All right, so now it's recording. So as we were saying, we want to work on our show schedule to get that to where you're in front of enough people so that you can share the opportunity with them. On Dash, I know a lot of you have seen this where, excuse me, they talk about the 4 and 1. So with every 4 shows that you're doing, adding a team member with that. Have any of you had an opportunity to do that training yet?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I know that I did the training on Dash, but I haven't been able to apply it yet.
Okay. Well, that's what we're working on.
Same as Whitney. I've done it, just haven't done anything with it yet.
Okay. That's okay, because that's what we're going to start with today. Okay. And so, adding team members is very much like booking parties. When you know how you felt when you first started reaching out to people and you were offering them an opportunity to book and you felt nervous about it and you hit send on that message and your heart starts racing, and if they don't answer you back in a couple minutes, then you're like, oh no, they don't want anything to do with me, and start going through all this self-talk in your head. But now you see that that's not really what's happening, and now you're more comfortable booking your parties, okay? That's what's going to happen with team building as well. I like to think of team building as when we go out to eat. We have a favorite local restaurant. For those of you who are local to me, the Boathouse in Marietta is one of our favorites. And we had lived here for years, never gone. And then a friend recommended it to us, and we're like, oh, let's go give it a try. Well, we loved it. The food was really good. The service was really good. It was a casual environment, so it was good for us, so we didn't have to dress up or anything. We just had fun there. Well, I had such a good experience, I started telling everybody else about it. Like, you guys got to check out this Boathouse. It's really good, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with team building. We're not trying to do anything extra. We're not trying to do anything that would trick anybody. We're just sharing our experience with Pampered Chef and how it's been. This is really cool news of you. So recruiting is no different. You're going to share your experience, how Pampered Chef has benefited you, and how the company has made a difference. All of you have a unique story. You've all had unique experiences. I think you've all been pleasantly surprised by what you've earned so far, the products you've earned. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. I know Whitney was talking with you. You've been really happy with the way everything's gone down.
Oh, definitely. Just for the other girls, I'm still a part of doTERRA as well as the essential oil company, but strictly like as a customer anymore, because I was with them for like 4 years and I only ever broke even, and they didn't have anywhere near the perks. Like, you had to buy every single catalog. You never got actually like rewarded with anything. So it's been phenomenal just to see the difference. Like, when my backpack showed up in the mail, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, I didn't have to pay for this? This is awesome. Yeah,
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to talk about today is just how we can start with your team building, okay? And so what we want to start with first is your host. So why do you think I would want to start with your host first?
Because you already have a personal connection with her. It's not like you're just cold contacting someone. You've already developed a working relationship with her. You know best her strengths and potential weaknesses.
Okay.
She already has an interest in Pampered Chef. She's wanting to host a party.
Exactly.
And that kit credit.
Very good. All right. So your host is your best lead every single time, because like you said, we know that she already likes Pampered Chef, and you already have a relationship with her, and she can also get started with a smaller investment because of that. So what we want to do is talk about asking your host multiple times, okay? Now, how many of you, when I say that, are kind of getting a sick feeling in your stomach? Because I'm kind of getting to know you guys a little bit now.
I already had that sick feeling 20 times, and I'm getting over it because I just don't care, because I'm seeing what's happening. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if that was
No.
enough.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I've seen what September is doing for me. I am on track to make far better than I thought I would, and I am not letting the sick feeling stop me from reaching out. I found that I had to reach out to one person 3 times. And I thought, okay, I'm doing it again. I don't care. The worst thing you can do is say, quit talking to me. And I got a show from it. So I'm not afraid. I mean, I'm not afraid. I'm less afraid to reach out to people, and I'm just overcoming the nausea because I just don't care. So I want to make it work.
Okay.
I'm finding that I could reach out without just saying, hey, join my team. Or, just using very, like blunt wording, and being kind of not more beat around the bush about it, but kind of a different approach.
Right.
And it makes it easier to bring it up several times because it's not the same. You're not saying the same thing over and over again. So,
exactly. Very good. When you first book that show, that can be when you first talk with her. You send out the host packet to her. Do all of you have the opportunity brochures? Because they've just redesigned those.
Yeah.
I don't. I need to get
I think I have the old ones.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll want to invest in the new ones. It's not a huge investment. I think it's like $3.25. They've really done a nice job with it. Of course, they have the new kits on them. So you want that so that they can see what's in each kit. But they have also put the kit credit coupon right there inside that flyer. So then when you get the packet to her and she opens it up, she can see it. Then you can just go over it. Did you see that flyer that I put in your packet? Probably she's going to say no. Okay, that's normal. So don't worry if she says that. Okay. But you can just go over it and mention the benefits. When you're first host coaching, you're going to let them know that you can get free products, you can get discounted products, and she wants to be a consultant. She can cash in either $25 or $50 of her free product. Ask her. Consider being a consultant.
I did get the new party planner. I think it's the party planner.
Yes.
And on the bottom back side of that has the new kits with the kit credit coupon.
Right. Okay. And those, you can use that as well. I just like to put both in, but this is not something that's mandatory. I mean, if that's what's working for you, then by all means do it. And then when you're talking with her, some orders start coming in. That's another time, just plant that seed. You're doing a great job collecting orders. People are really responding to you. Okay? That's another way that she can see that she is able to do this. And you can just tell her, you're kind of a little glimpse of what it's like to be a consultant. Okay? And, most of you, I know some of you are doing in-home parties. Whether you're doing an in-home party, you can mention it to her at the party. You've been interacting with your guests really well. You're sharing with everybody. Watch what I'm doing today and see if this is something you would like to do. It's a virtual party. If I see her really talking, I always want to play on the strengths. You don't want to make something up, okay? But if I see somebody who's really interacting with her, you're doing a great job. Your friends really respond to you. You've got a great personality online. Some people have better personalities online than they do in person. Have you ever noticed that? And so, let her, oh, don't tell her that, but
Yeah.
tell her, you've got a great personality online that people respond to. I really think you do a good job at this. Okay. And then, you can tell her again, when you're closing out the party, remind her, part of your rewards is you can take this kit credit. And you can tell her, if, like, I'm going to use Whitney, for example. Whitney took kit credit with her party. And so, we already had people who were interested in doing parties. And so all those bookings went to Whitney so that she could get off on a strong start. And so you can just tell them, these are your friends who are interested in having parties. We'll get you started right away. Okay. So those are, ways that you can talk to your host multiple times. One of the biggest things people get nervous about is even just mentioning it. They'll say, well, she wants to do it, she'll just tell me. And that's really not the case. People need to hear about it. They need to be asked multiple times. There's a study out. I think there's some people that said, like with sales, some people have to be asked 8 times before they say yes to something. And that's truly the case. And it's not a matter of you nagging. Now, if they say no, leave me alone, and you keep asking, that's different. But if they're just not ready or they're just not sure, they need to watch what you're doing to see, this is something that I can do. What do you guys think about that?
I actually have a lady that I've been courting for a little while, and she's been on the fence, about this. And that was actually the approach I was going to take. I was going to offer to have her host a party and just say, hey, if you're still not quite sure, what all this entails, let's try hosting a party and we'll see how we do. And I think this would be a great way for you to get used to how things work. And so that's what I'm going to do with her, and just that will make a difference with her final decision.
Good.
I haven't had that with recruiting yet, but with a specific host, she's been to, between the end of last month and this month, she's been to 3 of my virtual parties because they've all kind of booked off of each other, and she's a mutual friend of all of them, and she's been a friend of mine for a really long time as well. So she's been through several parties, and she's bought something at every party, and she keeps talking about how much she loves the blender. And I'm like, when are you going to book your party? This way you could get your blender. And she's like, oh, I don't know. Da, da, da. She keeps, saying whatever. So then finally I was like, hey, her name's Tara too. So I was like, hey, Tara, you really, if you want this blender, like, you want to get your party booked by the end of September so you can get it for like super cheap, and you don't really have to worry about getting as many sales, because next month you're going to have to get more to be able to get it cheap. And she's like, I don't know, let me get back to you tomorrow. And then she texted me the next day. She's like, okay, does this date work? Let's put it down. Let me host a party. So it probably was the good, 8 times that you said that I mentioned it to her before she was finally like, okay, let's do this.
Good. And honestly, if she's buying something at every party, she's a good candidate to be sharing all this with. She's a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that could be another option too, is just tell her you could get this for free.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to just give the business a try. I think that some people are concerned that they have to commit for a lifetime. Okay. Instead of realizing that they can give the business a try. And so, if you can let them know that, we'll get you qualified so that you earn that free blender, and that's 3 or 4 shows. Okay, then they're like, oh, I can do that. Instead of realizing they have to commit forever, have to make a huge investment. How many of you have hosts that you've already shared with already?
I've shared with a couple, but they've all been just straight no thank you.
Right. So, like, what is that? Is that pretty much what they've said? Is just no thank you?
Yeah.
next time that you get, or even just go back to them, just ask them, is that a no, not now? Because it could be that just life is crazy right now. I'm finding that with a lot of people, with school going back and all the after school commitments and everything. The thought of doing anything right now is just absolutely gone. But it could be no, not right now. So I'll just ask them, is that a no, you're not interested at all, or is that just a no, not right now? And
I've
that
done that.
know where they stand, because no, there's a lot of gray area with a no, and so it's not quite as cut and dry as we often think it might.
I know a lot of people, especially with just hosting parties, they say they're too busy. I'm too busy for this. What's your typical response with the I'm just too busy?
Well, we're actually going to be going over that, but
Okay.
just for right now, you want to use what we call the feel, felt, found method. Okay. So a lot of times when somebody tells us something, our gut reaction is, oh no, it's not like that. Okay. But what that does is that can put somebody on the defense, or that it makes them feel like you're not really listening to them. So you can say, you know what, I know exactly what you're saying. I have felt that before. I'll just use you as an example, Vanessa. I work at the hospital, and and I come home and I have my children to take care of, and sometimes it feels like I have no extra time. But what I've found is, if I can block off, 15 minutes, of block of time, here and there, I'm able to still do everything I want to do and need to do with my family and my job, and still have this as a extra side gig to make some money. And so we just want to let them know that you understand how they feel. If it's something that they say to you that you've never experienced, you can use a team member as a reference. This is how they worked through it. So we actually are going to go over some objections, because those are very common. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about sharing the opportunity in your shows. You always want to share with your host, okay? And some of you, I know you click really well with your host, and so that's great, because you're showing you're investing in them, and they're going to see you as being sincere in your offers instead of just looking for numbers.
Right.
But what we also want to do is create that with our guest as well. Now, how many of you have posts that go into your template where you are, offering them an opportunity to ask you questions, or sharing about the different kind of consultants there are?
I've done a little bit. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really focused on that. I'm going to do a little more of that, but my biggest thing was getting enough foundation for my shows to where I could focus on that. Does that make sense? I wanted to get a good show rotation so that I could focus more on the recruiting and not have to worry so much about making enough dollars to justify my husband justifying me staying home, if that makes sense. So now that I'm at that point, I can focus more on the opportunity.
Okay. So what are you sharing right now?
There is one that I use. I have a graphic, and I give them extra points for asking. And I've actually had one that's a little more interesting than the others. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be doing more. I'm going to use the Apron one that you used in the new information. I forget what we called it, but I'm going to use that one and do some other things. So.
Okay. What kind of questions are you being asked?
Well, I had one that asked me, how is it, because is it like a hierarchical system? Do you have to meet a minimum? Do you have to meet a quota? And that one's an easy one for me. I love sharing about that, because that's the one thing I love about this business as opposed to other things. I've done sales before. I've done oils, and it's a completely different system, as I will attest to what Whitney has said. I'm on the other side. I've done the Young Living oils, so haha. But I have found that I actually prefer the system. It's one business I can do where I can work at my pace, make what I want to make, and my downline isn't dependent on dollars that I bring in. So I love that, and it's easy for me to share that with my people when they ask.
Okay. Do you share all of that when they
No,
ask?
I never share that. I'm sharing that with you. I never share that. This is I don't talk about any of that with it. I'm very, very cautious. I don't talk badly about anybody.
Right, right. I didn't mean that. I mean, so if I would ask you, what's your quota for each month, how would you respond?
I would say that quota is up to me. I determine what I make, and I set my schedule. I don't have anyone breathing down my neck, and I love it that way. I do what I need to do for my family, and it works for me.
Okay. Are you aware that to be an active consultant, there actually is a quota?
There is, and I have talked about that, but I'm talking about like, you know, it's 150.
Right.
But like and I have touched on that, but I don't make it like the biggest talking point.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure you realize that.
No. I know that, but like, I don't make it a huge talking point.
So when you use that post, do you post that or do you have your host post it?
I have posted it, but I want to start getting my host doing more of the posting instead of just me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Are you using the host coaching guide that has all the host posts?
Yes.
Okay.
I use that religiously, but yes, I need to do better with that.
Yeah. And there's a reason behind that. Is because when you have your host post it, her friends are going to respond to her. Right. Because she's the one posting.
As opposed to me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I did recently just see a really cute graphic. If you guys want to do this, I'm going to do it, where it was the same concept about, you can ask me a question, but it was a picture of the consultant wearing her apron, and she was kind of doing a thumbs up. Mm-hmm. And then she just, edited the photo and put "Ask Me Anything" on it. And it was, again, just keeping your face in front of the people so they know that it's a real person asking.
I like that.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Good idea. I like that too.
Okay.
I keep planning to have my husband take pictures of me like using stuff, and then he's never here when I'm using stuff.
Yeah. I know, and that's hard. I mean, my daughter helps me, and that's another, we kind of talked about it last week, having people help out. That's another great way to do this, just have them take pictures of you. One-handed pictures are challenging at times when you're trying to do something.
I use my kids for that.
Oh, definitely.
I have them take pictures of me doing stuff because they love to be involved and it makes them feel like they're doing something. And I took your advice and hired my daughter and one of her friends last week to do some work for me. Mm-hmm. And that made a huge impression. $10 was well spent paying $5 to each other.
It does. Isn't it just amazing how good that feels?
And it was just right perfectly because they're getting ready for their 8th grade trip in May. So she is all about fundraising and making money. So she's like, I want to work.
Good. So, you've got your post. First, you're reaching out to your host, and you're talking to them 4 to 5 times every post. These are just brief messages. We've got our post in our party. Okay. Make sure your host is posting one of them. Of course, you can post as well. There are also, if you have not seen on Marketing Imagery, there are videos. There are recruiting videos. And one of the ones I like to use is the ones talking about being a bad cook. Because a lot of times people say, well, I just can't cook. So I share that video in my party. Then I have them message me the answer. I'll say, who was the awful cook? And that's just another way that, you ask a question with something that's towards the middle or end so that they've watched through it. Plus, these videos are so short, 1 to 2 minutes.
Right.
They're gonna, and then you can just reward them with brownie points for that. But that's another fun way to share the business. And when they've messaged you the answer instead of commenting the answer, they've opened up that door for you to
Right.
communicate with them. So you want to make sure whenever somebody has commented on that post, like where they've asked a question or they've messaged you an answer, you want to communicate with them. Definitely answer their question. I like to answer it as a comment. I don't do it as a reply because only that person sees your answer. So what I do is I just start a new comment and I tag the person. So, you know, if Vanessa, if you asked the first question, I would tag your name and then answer your question. Then I go to the next comment, tag Tara, answer her question. And I'll just do a couple at a time because usually what happens is those algorithms kick in. And if I've answered a couple, then more people are going to come in and ask questions. And that way everybody's seeing the answers to those questions. Then you can private message them. And if you're doing it through your business page, you can send them a private message. Makes it a lot easier. You can just ask them, you know, just say, thanks for commenting on that post. That was a great question. I'm curious, would you like some more information about Pampered Chef, or were you wanting more brownie points? That way, you know, that door's been opened. And I like to add where you're just wanting brownie points because they're more likely to respond that way so that they don't think I'm expecting them to say they want more information about Pampered Chef. And I get both. You know, you're going to get some who want it and some who are going to be like, oh, I just wanted the brownie points. But yet that door's been opened there. And then, you know, that can lead to a booking if that recruiting is not an option at that time. Something else you want to do is make sure, you know, when you introduce yourself that you tell a little bit about yourself. We want people to see you as real people. You know, I joke around. I'll say, you know, I got started because I'm coming up on my 11-year anniversary. So I always make a little joke and say I started as a mere child, just to kind of break the ice. And then I'll tell them, you know, I got started because my husband's an electrician, and 11 years ago, work was just gone in our area, and we needed a way to bring in an income quickly and allow me to still stay home with my children. And I just, you know, I keep it short. You want to make sure it's, you know, sounds like you when you're talking. You know, you can look at other people's stories and kind of get ideas of how they did it to formulate yours, but you want to make sure it always sounds like you. There's nothing worse than reading something somebody posts and then you're like, that doesn't sound like her at all. And you can tell that it was just a copy and paste.
And that's where those messages, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's where those messages come to die in my inbox.
Yeah.
I despise group messaging. I despise these all caps, exclamation points, mile-long, whole paragraph things where I know that this person, there's no way on earth that they ever wrote that. I know how they write because I see their posts on Facebook, and I know. So they come to die.
Exactly. Exactly. So you also, you know, when you're doing your in-home parties, you want to do an introduction as well. I find these are times that are just, those are the icebreakers. And so what I will do with an in-home party is I don't start in the kitchen. We usually start in the living room, family room, whatever is convenient. If it has to be the kitchen, we'll do it, but I try not to. So we've got everybody sitting in the couches. It generally turns out to be a circle. And, you know, I thank the host for having me into her home. I compliment her home on how nice it is. Then I thank the guests for taking time out of their day to join us at this party. And I said, you know, most of you know each other, but I don't know you. So let's do some introductions. So we'll go around the room. I'll have them tell me their name, how they know the host, and then you can just choose whatever you want. Sometimes I'll say, tell me your favorite Pampered Chef product. sometimes I'll say, let's just use one word to describe the host. So that gets her feeling good too, because all of a sudden there's all these compliments rolling in, and it just sets a nice tone for the party. And then when it gets to me, I introduce myself, and I'll say, I met host at so-and-so's party. I really try to share that I met her at a party if I did. Okay, sometimes it's just somebody who just booked out of the blue, but I want them to know that they can book parties off, and that's that first seed being planted. And then I tell my story. I've been with Pampered Chef for 11 years. I got started because my husband's an electrician. And in this area, work kind of comes and goes. And 11 years ago, it was gone. And so I needed something to, bring in some extra income, let me stay home with the kids. If you let me, I'll talk about myself all day, but I know you don't want to hear me talk. So, let's wash our hands and go to the kitchen. So I got that seed planted because then I'm going to come back and talk some more about the opportunity with them. Any questions about that? I know some of you have you're getting ready to do your first in-homes.
I did mine this past weekend, but Jenny was gracious enough to come and partner with me on that one, and it was very, very helpful. You did really well. I think this will be probably one of my bigger shows this month. We're closing out soon.
Good.
I know there's been torn information back and forth about giving the guests the catalogs before the cooking. Do you give them out beforehand if we're waiting for people to show up, or do you wait until after?
I'm glad you brought that up. I used to not. I waited until the end, but generally then the host would grab her catalogs that I'd sent her in the packet and pass them out anyway.
Right.
So I had a show this past weekend. This is what I did. I just set the catalogs out, and then I used it in my opening. I told them, I said, I'm going to be sharing, I referenced my husband. So, he's an electrician. If you come to our house, you're going to find all kinds of power tools. It was silly for him to work with a handsaw and a screwdriver doing construction when he could use the drill and all the other power tools. I said, I have the same feelings about working in the kitchen. So I want you to open up your catalogs to page 8. And if you haven't noticed it yet, they've got the week's worth of one-pot meals. I just tell them, these are 4 different options for you to help get dinner on the table quicker. If you're anything, I usually say if you're anything like my family, you're on the go a lot. And it's a lot easier to run through the drive-through or get carry-out than to come home and cook after you've worked all day. But these tools are going to help you get dinner on the table quickly so that you're not in the kitchen all the time. And then I'll just go over them briefly, and I'll point out which ones I'm going to use in the party. And so that helped kind of set the stage because those are all kits. And then, for my particular show, I used the Rock Crock and the blender, and I pointed out the tools, that we used for that. So that is something that you could do to just kind of give an introduction to it. Some people are going to start flipping through it right away. Don't worry about that. What I found is if you let people do what they want to do, they're more likely to order.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, I've gone to parties. In the beginning, I was so adamant that everybody had to come out in the kitchen, and then you always had those grumpy people. They didn't want to cook. They've worked all day. Well, now, if those grumpy people want to sit out in the living room and visit, I let them sit out in the living room and visit, and then the ones who want to see the demonstration come out and cook with me. And usually the ones who wanted to sit out and visit have just as big an order, or if not bigger, than the ones who came out and cooked. The point is just to let them have fun with what they're doing. And if they see that you're not trying to control them and boss them around, they're going to have a lot more fun and want to be a part of it.
My last group was teachers, and knowing how teachers are about organization and folders, I put together folders for them and had them sitting organized around the kitchen table in rainbow colors, and they really appreciated that. And it actually helped when some of them, before I even finished with the final demo, they were already writing down their orders. So it worked really well for me. I'm not saying that that's how I would do it every time, but it did work in this case very well.
Right. So yeah, I do it how you want, how it comes down to it. But if they want a catalog, I wouldn't fuss over it.
Right.
Sometimes I have to, if they're getting rowdy and I'm losing their attention, I go, okay, guys, time out. I need to go over this with you. Then we can get back to what we love doing, eating and shopping, and I just try to have some fun with it. But there are some times you have to rein them in. Teachers are really bad about that. It's really
Yes,
funny. The
they
two of you
are.
are here because every party I have, I say this. I say the two worst groups that I've ever done parties for are teachers and nurses. And it's
And boy, are they.
they're rowdy. They have,
Yes, very rowdy.
And so sometimes you got to rein them in. But if you just let them have fun, and you just take control for a minute, then it all works out.
I found I had to do that more than once. It's like, I'm also a sub myself, so I'm thinking you're worse than the kids I teach sometimes.
Yeah. And nurses are no better.
Oh, man.
So your first party was teachers on the weekend, and my first party is a bunch of nurses on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kid you not. And it's like, this one girl wasn't, my host told me later, this one girl wasn't even gonna, she's like, I don't have time to cook. I do brownies from a box, but she was all about the brownie pan, so we focused on that. And she's like, she said she wasn't even gonna order, and she just made this really nice order. So it was also a very teachable moment for all of us. We learned a lot, and I kind of let them set the tone once we got started, and because I could tell she was one of those that you weren't going to make her budge. So I believe that's why she placed an order, is because I didn't push her into a corner. So
right, and that's and that's a big part of it, and that's the difference, and that's where we're heading into next is the objections. A lot of times people think we're salespeople, and we're really not.
Right.
I mean, there are some people who are, but I want you to think of yourself as a consultant, because the big difference between a salesperson and a consultant is a consultant's trying to help you find solutions. And so, sometimes I'll say at my parties, I'm not here to tell you what you have in your kitchen's wrong. I'm just sharing options with you. Now, I do have fun with them when they say something. They'll say something about Tupperware. I always have one-liners that I kind of use over and over again that go well. And one thing, as I always say, is we don't use the T word at my parties. So, okay, you guys are supposed to laugh at that.
I did. I a little.
It's just, another way to have some fun, so that they don't think you're serious and just trying, because they're expecting you to come in and want to try to take all your money. And
it's true.
So, we just need to kick back and have some fun with them. So, Vanessa brought up having the objections. You're always going to have objections. Tara, you're out of this group here. You're the only one who said, I want to do this. Okay. You were the exception.
Yeah, I'm not always the exception. I'm just telling you how I feel right at this moment and how I've felt since I've been closing parties in this month. So it makes me want to do more.
No, I'm talking about when you signed up. You were the exception.
Sorry.
Most people just don't say, hey, I want to be a consultant. Sign me up. Okay. Vanessa, I wasn't a part of yours and Jenny's discussion. I know with Whitney and I, we had lots of discussions. We needed to make sure this was a good fit for her. And that's usually when people have objections, that's what they're looking for.
Yes.
They're looking for a solution, something that will work for them. So, when you've got that person who says, I'm too busy, lots of people say that. And they do believe they are. And a lot of them are. Okay. So it's not, objections aren't always excuses. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, one of the best ways to reach out to them is this whole feel, felt, found model. Okay. And, I'm just going to read you an example here. When somebody, you're talking to says they don't have any time, I completely understand how you feel about not having time. I felt the same way. I work 2 jobs, and with 2 teenage kids, I feel like there's never enough time. What I have found is that I can block off some time on my calendar. Blocking off 15-minute time blocks can add up.
Hmm.
So how would that feel if somebody said that to you?
Give you a little bit more confidence that you could find the time.
Okay.
And you wouldn't feel like they're trying to say, okay, I'm boxing you in. You know, it feels like that they're giving you more options. I mean, it would make me feel like I was getting more options. Like, okay, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
I have somebody, let me find it here real quick, that we had a very similar discussion. She's wrapping up her virtual party. And I got thrown in jail for the first time in my life last week, right at the end of my parties. And so they were doing a lot of posting for me. And so I was always trying to be gracious with her, and I just told her, I said, you're so good at this. I mean, you're patient, and your friends are responding to you. Have you ever thought about it? And she said, no, with church and everything, I just don't have time. And same thing. I understand what you're saying. I used to be the exact same way. But what I've learned is I have ways to help me. And so I pointed some stuff out to her. I said, next time you go back to your party, check out one of my posts, and you're going to see a little thing under there that says post my party. I said, they do all my posting for me. And then if you notice when I comment, it's usually in the evening when I have more free time, and I send you your post in the mornings before my day starts. She's like, oh, okay, I'll think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was just kind of pointing out, because sometimes people think that you're doing something, and that you can let them know I felt that same way.
Lori, I have a question. I have a lady who is already a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company.
Uh-huh.
She is hosting a mashup party for me. She's already at 70 or 70 plus people. She is gregarious. Everyone knows her, loves her. She has friends that go back to elementary school. And she opened up the door by saying the UPS guy asked her the other day, so are you doing a Pampered Chef business? She said, oh no, I'm just helping out a friend. And that just opened up the door, and she's interested possibly in it. Her thing is she wants to know, bottom line, is it going to be worth it for me? So Jenny and I are going to plan a time to do a video meeting with her. But is there anything that I could take to that meeting because I don't know as much as I'd like to. See, because she's already in sales, so she needs to know bottom line. She doesn't care about so much the time aspect as it is.
Bottom line means different things to different people. So I would get a clarification from her. What do you mean by bottom line? I mean, how much money you're going
to know dollars and cents, like not specific dollars and cents, but she wants to know, is this going to be worth the extra time I take on to do it? So I just need some reinforcement as I go into that.
I would send her some paychecks.
Okay.
If she wants to know.
Right. I've already been doing that informally, showing what I've made and, based on my party averages and how I do it and stuff like that. But I was just wondering if there was anything else.
If money's her bottom line, that's what I would show her. I'll send you one of my paychecks that you can send her.
Okay.
And then I have an executive paycheck that you can send her.
That'd be great. Please.
And so,
anything. This is a numbers girl.
Yeah, well, just show her that. And, you don't have to draw this out. I know you don't have to be cautious with recruiting, okay? Sometimes people see that, and then you can just ask her, what do you think? Are you ready to sign up, or do you have some more questions? Right. Or are you I would say, are you ready to get started?
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't draw this out. I'll send you those as soon as we hang up here, and I would send them to her right away and say, here's your potential.
Yes, I would love that, please, because she's definitely a results-oriented girl, and she makes. I mean, she does well at what she does. She makes a lot of money, and I
Sure.
know she's not particularly happy she's not always happy with her company. We've had these conversations way before I did Pampered Chef. I mean, the things that they expect are sometimes unrealistic expectations, that sort of thing. So
Right.
anyway, I
Yeah.
just want to offer her an alternative.
I would, and just be a little more direct. I think that's going to be your homework for this week, is to learn to be a little more direct.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of times you're going to have different objections. What are some objections that you guys are hearing besides I'm busy?
I've talked to other people who have done other network marketing things before, and they're jaded because, much like my thoughts with doTERRA, it's a whole lot of work for very little return. So why would I want to put myself through that again?
Okay. Did they have, I mean, was it mostly the same, your exact same experience?
It was the one that I invited to the event that we had, and then she never replied to anything I sent afterwards. It's Crystal. She had done Wild Tree, and Wild Tree had recently closed, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just that she wasn't interested in doing anything at all anymore because it just ended, and it ended abruptly, and it left a bad taste in her mouth.
Sure.
But it was that was her, and then somebody else did and is still doing other, like paparazzi and other different things that other people are already involved in. Ow, my hair.
I would, you're a good example for this. I would say, I know exactly how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way when I was first asked about Pampered Chef. But what I found was, my team's really good about answering your questions, and they didn't hide anything from me. And so far you're not even 3 months yet, So I would say, within a couple months, I have earned X amount of money by doing how many shows you've done. And I've earned, and then you could talk about the products. I mean, whatever you did with when you qualified, you got your Pampered Chef dollars, and you've got your backpack, and what else have you earned?
That might be it.
Okay.
But for me, like, the little thing that was like when the new fall catalogs just showed up. I didn't have to order that. I didn't have to pay for that. That was just like, hey, we're a company and we want you to share this, and here are your resources.
Then that's exactly what I would share. And I would let her know also, Tara, that you haven't experienced this just because of when you started, but every season you have an opportunity to earn the new products for free. And so let her see those kind of perks. And that these are perks that any consultant can take care of. That is something that I always try to share. When people are asking questions, because they're used to only the top, 100 people get to take advantage of an incentive. And Pampered Chef's different, because if you earn it, you earn it. It doesn't matter if it's 100 people who earned it or 3,000 people who earned it. Everybody's going to get it. So I would share something like, I would just share your experience, but make sure you validate their feelings. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. And then just tell her what you found. Anybody else have a different?
My objection's not really so much an objection as opposed to when I reach out to people to either book parties or recruiting, I don't get responses. And I'll reach back out and say, hey, just wanted to know if you got my message. And I still won't get a response. And I'll send a cute little GIF or a picture. And my messages just keep falling flat. Like even with, like just trying to start conversations with people when I'm hosting a party that have ordered. Like just sending them a message like, hey, I got your order. Just wanted to make sure you did want this sent to your house, not the host. If you send it to the host, you could save some money, blah, 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 you know, just, quick little messages like that. And they still don't respond, even though we have made a connection to have, I see that they're seeing my post, they're my friend, but yeah, people just don't answer.
And you're going to have that sometimes. But one thing that you can do is tag them in a post first and kind of change your wording up. Where, and I would like maybe even just in the thank you post, or, in another one where she's going to see it, you can tag them and say, hey, Vanessa, I have a quick question about your order. Usually when I do that, or if I send a text message, I get a response back because they're scared there's something wrong with their order. Okay? And then you can go into your checkout. Just wanted to make sure you wanted this order shipped to you, or, I want to make sure I've got the right address. Sometimes you want to make sure, even if they're having it shipped to the host, you want to make sure that that's the right thing, because you want to check their address, and if they live in another state, they probably didn't pay attention to the shipping. And so kind of go into more of a customer service mode right there first. Verify the address. If they're close to the guest special, say, hey, just wanted to make sure you knew that you're only, $10 away from the guest special. Was there anything else on your wish list? Can kind of go that way with the customer service aspect, and then go into letting them know about the opportunity to book a show. How does that feel to you?
It's not too far off from what I've been attempting to do. Like I even have had the host, tag people and say, hey, if check your message requests, Vanessa needs to check on orders, or, has a question about orders or whatever. And I don't know if it's just people they're avoiding those questions, and they know that that's a way that, is for me to ask them if they want to book or join a team or host a party or whatever. So they just don't answer them. But I've had a hard time doing
savvy.
What?
I don't think they're that savvy. They probably just, a lot of times what happens is they see it and then they get distracted and don't get back to you. And some people you're just going to have to bless and release with. Okay. And as far as the bookings, that's why we want to use the host to help with the bookings. I was just listening to a training the other day. She tells her host if she has 3 confirmed bookings from her party that she will get $25 in extra free products. And so they have to be confirmed, and then, you can do it however you want. You can do it when the third party closes, add it on to that so that you've been assured that those parties are held, because if only 2 out of the 3 hold, then you're not out anything. And then you can let the person know when you're messaging them, confirming their address and everything, Vanessa's only needs 1 more party so that she gets her free gift from you. Would you like to host a party, or would you like to get some friends together? However you want to say that. Sometimes when they know they're helping their friend out, that's another way for those bookings. Any other kind of objections that you're getting? So sometimes, people are going to say, well, I'm just not a salesperson. And you can just say, I understand what you're saying. That's what I thought before too. But what I found is most of our team does not have a background in sales. I can teach you everything that I know on how to have a successful party. My goal for my parties is to help people solve their kitchen problems. Somebody may say, well, I just don't have the money to get started. Have you guys heard that yet?
Yeah.
So, what are some offers that what are some things you could say to them when they say they don't have?
Get credit.
Yep, exactly. Kit credit would be the first thing to offer. You could brainstorm some ways to come up with money. Even just asking them, is there anybody that you could borrow the money from at first? That you could assure them that you're going to make them back the first party or two, and you can pay them back. Because then you can help them understand that, they're going to be making their income right away. All right. Well, we are coming down to the end of our time. Okay, so there's a few things I want to talk about. First thing is we are going to have another opportunity event next Tuesday. And I would like you all to participate in it. I would like you to reach out to your host for this month and invite them. Any hosts that you had last month that you did not come to our last opportunity event, or if there was anybody invited last month, we are going to be removing everybody from last month. I don't believe in keeping people in there over and over again. So if you want to reach out to those people that you invited and see if they would like to participate again, that is fine. But I would like for us to work on each of you adding a team member this month. How does that sound?
Work on it.
So in addition to that, I want you to continue making your contacts for your bookings. Your goal is to shoot for 3 every day this week. I mean, Monday through Friday. Okay. Contacts are a two-way conversation, so it doesn't count if you just message somebody and they don't respond back. But if you've had a conversation, that counts as a contact. And then I would like you to work on your story and post that on our 6 weeks group. And post a fun picture of yourself with it too. You're all just staring. Are you worn out?
Sounds easy enough.
Okay.
You can do that, yeah.
Real quick, because we didn't do it in the beginning. Everybody share their favorite tip from the Michael Reeves video.
My
Well,
favorite tip.
Jen, I am so sorry. I am the worst at that. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Mine was placing the host packets on the coffee table for everybody to see.
Okay, great.
Mine wasn't actually a tip, but it was something he said that I've had trouble with doing before, and that is don't take a wishbone, take a backbone.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay.
I just found him like really entertaining. He was really funny throughout the whole thing, like a lot of dad jokes. So it was really corny, but that's right up my alley. So it made me chuckle a lot. And I haven't done any in-home parties yet, but I really like when he said, when the host asks you, what can I do to help? You can do the dishes.
Yes, yes. So you were able to see his personality come right through with that video. And that's exactly what we want to do. You know, people are going to be drawn to you and your personalities. All right, so thank you Our goal is to have people invited to our group. So I'm going to add all three of you. If you're not, or were you all three in the last one?
Was.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then I'll just leave you there. Just look it up again, and start reaching out to your people. It doesn't start till Tuesday, so you have until Tuesday noon to make all these contacts. Okay?
Next Tuesday, not tomorrow Tuesday, right?
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's too soon. All right. So write your story out, make your contacts, and invite people to our opportunity event. And we're going to have a whole bunch of senior consultants next month.
Hope so.
All right. Sounds good, ladies. Thank you again for working with me with being late.
Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to you all later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.